It's time for Anatomy with Michael. Hey, what's up guys? How's it going? My name's Michael and today we're going to be looking at the anatomy of the lower respiratory tract. Now, I know what you're thinking. You already know the anatomy of the lower respiratory tract. You got the trachea, you got the bronchi, the bronchioles, the alveoli. That's all good, but we are going deeper than that. Got myself over here helping me draw today. So without further ado, let's get cellular! So we're going to start our journey in the trachea. Now this one's going to take a little while to draw. So I'm going to take this chance to remind you that everything is the way it is for a reason. I'm sure you've heard it a million times, but you're going to hear it more from me today. Form meets function. Oh, explosion if I can edit it in. The first cell type we're going to talk about in the trachea is ciliated pseudostratified columnar epithelium. These cells are really tightly packed together, so much so that the nuclei of the cells are pushed out, making it look like there's more than one cell layer, hence the name pseudostratified. Some cells don't even reach the lumen, but they're there ready to replace any damaged cells. Being tightly packed together increases the thickness of the tissue, helping protect the basal lamina below, and also increasing the number of cilia at the surface of the lumen. The cilia have a really important job, and that's to wave around to trap any irritants and move mucus up the airways. The second tracheal cell type is the goblet cell. It's called a goblet cell because it looks like a goblet. Easy. These guys sit interspersed between the pseudostratified epithelia, and there's about 1 to every 6 epithelial cells. Now these guys' main job is to produce mucus, to trap irritants, and protect the lumen. Underneath this, we have the basal lamina. This is made up of basal cells that can replace both goblet cells and epithelial cells if they get damaged. The basal lamina also contains elastin, which allows the trachea to expand and retain its shape. This is going to come up later in the presentation, so make sure you remember it. If we keep going below the lamina and towards the outside of the trachea, we'll run into the C-shaped cartilage rings. And what type of cartilage is it made of? Hyaline. It's hyaline, guys. You should know this from last week. The cartilage in the trachea keeps the airways open and gives it a strong structure while still being flexible enough to allow for movement. Just so I don't have to talk about it in the other layers later, the basal lamina with its elastin and the goblet cells continue all the way up till the terminal bronchioles, while the cartilage rings gradually give way to smooth muscle as the bronchi transition to the bronchioles. Lighting change. Much better. Part 2, the bronchi/bronchioles. So sliding our way down lower, we're going to meet our boring simple boys. First up is the simple ciliated columnar epithelium, aptly named because it looks like a column. It's still single layer, but not as tightly packed as pseudostratified epithelium, but it's still thick enough to protect the basal lamina, and it's still got those cilia to move the mucus upwards. The other boring one is simple ciliated cuboidal epithelium. They're shaped like a cube. And, well, they don't do much really. But you have to remember that as we go further down, the walls have to get thinner and thinner so that we can get to the final destination, the alveoli. They mostly have cilia too, until you reach the terminal bronchioles. Before we get to the alveoli though, we have to talk about one more cell. The club cell. It's called a club cell because it's shaped like a... Just joking, it's actually not. It was renamed because the guy who found it, Max Clara, was a Nazi. Anyway, they're a little cube-shaped cell with little microvilli, and you can find them as we're getting closer to the terminal bronchioles. They contain a large number of mitochondria and organelles, so we know there's something going on there with all that high metabolic activity. They primarily secrete a solution similar to surfactant to prevent the bronchial walls from sticking together, but they can also detoxify harmful substances with a process called biotransformation. And if that's not enough, they can also multiply and differentiate to replace damaged epithelial cells. Wow, what a cell! Part 3, the alveoli. We just have to know 2 cell types for this one, and they're real easy to remember. The first type is type 1 alveolar cells. Basically, they're just glorified simple squamous epithelium, really broad and flat. They make up over 90% of the alveolar surface, and the blood vessels are stacked right up against them. Their large surface area and thin walls make it easy for the gas exchange to occur between the blood vessels and the inhaled air. Isn't it wonderful how that works out? It's as if form helps with its function. Ha! Everyone say it with me. Form meets function. Yeah. Well, that was underwhelming. Anyway, moving on to the last cell type we're going to be talking about today, type 2 alveolar cells. Now these guys only take up a small surface area of the alveoli, despite them being 60% of the cells there. They're connected to type 1 via tight junctions, and they protrude into the alveoli surface. Type 2 cells' sole purpose is to produce surfactant. Surfactant reduces the surface tension of the fluid which builds up within the alveoli and prevents the surfaces from sticking together, because otherwise the alveoli will die. Nice! Thanks for watching. Hope you learned something. So that's the formal end of the video. Thanks for watching. This was obviously with an assignment, so probably didn't make sense to a lot of you watching, but that's alright. References for everything down in the description. Make sure you hit that up. If you like my stuff, hit that like button. If you dislike it, give it to yourself. Got low self-esteem. Haha, joking. If you want to see more, subscribe and comment. Like this was just for an assignment, but like I'll do more. It was pretty fun, so yeah, always happy. Thanks for watching. Peace out, guys.